This video is an overview of completing the FAFSA. After viewing this video, we hope it will help students and parents better understand how to complete the FAFSA and to complete it accurately. Let's begin. A few tips before getting started. If you are not sure how to answer a question, click on the question mark at the end of each question. This feature offers a detailed explanation of the question and will give you information to help you answer correctly. When moving through the FAFSA, make sure you use the previous and continue buttons near the bottom. Do not use the browser navigation arrow, which may cause you to lose information and have to start over. The FAFSA has a section that determines if you will be considered a dependent student and will need your parents' information, or if you will be considered an independent student and only your information will be needed. If you are married, your spouse's information will also be needed. If parental information is needed, at least one of your parents will also need to create an FSA ID in order for your parent to electronically sign your FAFSA. Parents can only create the FSA ID if they have a valid Social Security number. If your parent does not have a Social Security number, an FSA ID is not needed and the parent will be given a different way to sign the FAFSA. Now, let's discuss what is a FAFSA. The FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and it's an application that future and current college students use to apply for financial assistance to help pay for college and college-related expenses. The FAFSA can only be completed by U.S. citizens or permanent residents that have a valid Social Security number. The FAFSA can be completed online at www.fafsa.gov, or you can download the My Student Aid mobile app. First things first, it is recommended to have your FSA ID, which is a username and password, before you begin your FAFSA application. The FSA ID is what will be used to electronically sign the FAFSA. The FSA ID and password can also be used to transfer some tax information directly from the IRS, and it can also be used later to access your federal student aid records. If you do not have an FSA ID, you can create one at fsaid.ed.gov. Okay, it's time to start a new FAFSA. If this is your first time completing a FAFSA, you will click on Start Here. Next, you'll need to select your role and enter the information requested. A student, a parent, or a FAFSA preparer can begin completing the FAFSA for the student. The preparer option is for someone that you are paying to help you complete your FAFSA. Counselors and school administrators are not considered preparers. Next, you'll need to select the academic year. That's the year you will be in college. Okay, you're all set to move on to the first section of the FAFSA. This first section asks for basic information. Please make sure that the name you enter is exactly the same as it appears on your Social Security card. Do not use nicknames or abbreviations. Remember, if the name you submit does not match the name on your Social Security card, there will be lengthy delays receiving or processing your application. Next, provide your personal email address and be sure to check it regularly. Email will be the primary way that the U.S. Department of Education and colleges contact you. Please make sure you do not provide your school email address because you may lose access to that email once you graduate. Next is the student eligibility section. If at the time of birth you were assigned the sex of male and you are completing the FAFSA for the first time, the FAFSA will ask if you're registered with Selective Service. If you're not yet registered, you can use the FAFSA to register. You do not have to register for Selective Service to receive financial aid from the federal government. However, it is still a requirement to receive state grants, such as the Texas grant. Next is the school selection section. You'll be asked to enter the state, city, and name of your high school, then click Search. Select the school from the menu, then click Continue. Next step is where you'll select the colleges and/or universities that you are considering attending. You can select up to 10 colleges when you first submit the FAFSA. Please keep in mind that you do not have to be admitted to these colleges yet. Simply select any college and/or universities you are interested in possibly attending. Finally, for each college and/or university you selected, you will need to indicate whether you will live on campus, off campus, or with parents. The next section is called Dependency Status. This section will determine if you need information from your parents. By the way, for the FAFSA, parents are defined as your birth or adoptive parents or a person that the state court has determined to be your parent. Grandparents, foster parents, legal guardians or tutors, older brothers or sisters, widowed step-parents, and aunts and uncles are not considered parents unless they have legally adopted you. If you live with a legal guardian or tutor because your parent lives in a different city, state, or country, you would still need the information of your birth or adoptive parents, not your guardian. Please note that if you answer yes to any question in the dependency section, you will not need your parents' information. Remember, if you don't know how to answer a question, use the question mark to get a more detailed explanation. If you are required to provide your parents' information, but you cannot due to a special circumstances defined by the FAFSA, you may complete the FAFSA without your parents' information. But you should contact the colleges or universities you are considering attending for additional instructions. You will have to provide documentation to support your own special situation. The next section is Parent Demographics. This is where, if required, you'll enter information about your birth or adoptive parents. If you're not sure whose parents' information to use, expand each section based on your parents' marital status. In the Parent Demographics section, you'll need to enter the Social Security number of your parent or parents. If a parent does not have a Social Security number, simply enter all zeros. Household size is included in this section. You will need to enter the number of your parents' other children, even if they do not live in the home, so long as your parents will provide more than half their support during the academic year you are applying for aid. Next, enter the number of other dependents living in your parents' household if your parents are providing more than half their support and will continue to do so during the academic year you are applying for aid. For example, if your grandmother lives with your parents and your parents take care of her financially, then you can include your grandmother as your parents' other dependent. In the next screen, you will need to confirm the household information is correct. Go back to the previous section if you need to make any changes. Next, enter the total number in the household size who will be attending college at least half-time during the year you will be applying for aid. Do not include parents in the number in college even if they will be attending college. Now, onto the questions about your parents' federal income tax information. The FAFSA will tell you which year's tax information to use. Your parent may be able to use the IRS data retrieval tool. This will allow some tax information to transfer from the IRS to the FAFSA, making this process much smoother and easier. The FAFSA will direct your parents to the IRS, but remember, the parent must have an FSA ID. If an FSA ID cannot be created, or if your parent is not given the option to use the IRS data retrieval tool, the tax information must be manually entered. Please note that if your parents are given the option to use the IRS data retrieval tool, the address they need to enter must match the address they used when they filed their taxes. The next screen will show which information will be copied into your FAFSA. From here, check the Transfer My Tax Information box, then click on Transfer Now. Any questions that show Transferred from the IRS on the Answer box, you can simply click Continue since that information has been entered by the IRS. There will be additional tax and income questions that must be manually answered. Read each question carefully. Remember, if your parent is not sure how to answer, they can click on the question mark next to the end of the question. Next is the Student Financial section. This is where you, the student, will enter your federal income tax information if you worked. You will also have the option to use the IRS data retrieval tool if you worked and filed your own federal income tax return. The questions in this section will be similar to the questions in the Parents Financial section. Okay, we're getting close to the end now. Next, you'll receive the FAFSA summary. Review the summary very carefully. If you see an error, click on that question to go back to update your answer. After you are done reviewing the FAFSA summary, you and one of your parents will need to sign the FAFSA. If you listed both parents on your FAFSA, you will need to choose which parent will electronically sign your FAFSA, either parent 1 or parent 2. Parent information will be provided to help you identify who was assigned as parent 1 and parent 2. Next, this is where your parent will need to enter their FSA ID and password to electronically sign the FAFSA. By the way, if neither of your parents has a social security number, be sure to click on Other Options to sign and submit. The FAFSA will generate a form that will need to be printed, and the parent will need to physically sign and date the form. Once signed, the signature page will need to be mailed to the address listed on the form. It could take up to 2 weeks for the FAFSA to be processed if the signature page is mailed in. Once you submit your FAFSA, you'll receive the confirmation page that will list the colleges selected. The confirmation page will be emailed to the address provided in the FAFSA. If you need more information, you can check out the What Happens Next section. Some important things to remember. Complete the FAFSA as soon as possible. Some grants are limited. You will be maximizing your financial aid eligibility the earlier you apply. Never pay to have your FAFSA submitted. It's free. If you have special circumstances, talk with someone from your school or from a college, even if that college is different from the one you plan to attend. Check your email and postal mail regularly. Respond to any requests you get as soon as possible, and if you have any questions, seek answers. For more information on completing the FAFSA and other financial aid information, go to www.studentaid.gov. Thanks for watching.